I know y'all motherfuckers heard this shit before. Top is cheap. Who the fuck you think you is? Who gon' stop me? 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 Who? You? Not hardly. Seriously, I lyrically render thee my enemy. Your intentions be clearly, sincerely to be the end of me. But I am what you pretend to be. You lack this intensity. I presently possess the tendency and weaponry to breathlessly in your tendency. The bullshit that you mumble don't make sense to me. You really wanna get at it? Say my name, I'll make it happen. Fuck the chitter chatter, let's get this shit cracking. Who gon' stop me? 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 Who? You? Not hardly. My superior interior rearranges your scenario. You're so mono-minded, but I put this shit in stereo. You should've let it go long ago. Streamline flow like Taekwondo. Play my game, keep it go in this studio. Yeah, keep the head spinning like vertigo. Feel what I mean? Michelangelo. No one can never quite do it the same. Pray and take aim. Claim all the fame, I'm after one thing. Check my family name, bitch. Stop me? Who gon' 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 stop me? Who? You? Not hardly.
All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Do you understand?
You need people like me so you can burn your fucking fingers.
I am the prodigy, probably. An oddity, commodity to fuck up your psychology. I honestly, possibly, constantly body these fucking wannabes. I am the novelty, fulfillment of the prophecy. I am apostasy's atrocity, demonstrably an anomaly. Just check the verbosity, my anthology. What you want, I do this shit unconsciously. I told you after Devil's Night, I'm coming down swinging, hit them with that boom, and keep their heads ringing. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. But you sleep, I told you what I do. What if I just switch the flow, let the pieces fall, call it domino. I kill in force, Idaho, you the hoe. I know you know how to ride this pole, rodeo. Like fuck with you a little, it'll ripple, cripple. But I give you this pickle. What am I trying to say? If A can beat me, then we can see. And after that, yeah, you can get the D. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. But you sleep, I told you what I do.
Say good night to the bad guy. Come on. The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like this again, let me tell you.
What's up? All right. I'm literally pissed the fuck off. And this shit needs to be talked about. As it says on the thumbnail, conduct permitted is conduct taught. And yeah, there's a lot of bullshit being permitted, therefore it's being taught that it's okay. And hopefully y'all can hear me. Let me check. Let me check my audio. All right, I'm good. So before I get into it, let's just as a reminder of what this Bobby Price motherfucker has said. Let's just allow him to reintroduce himself.
Yeah, let me. I don't know if you can see this, but you'll probably remember it. I think it's regarding Trayvon Martin.
Mm-hmm.
You probably can't see this, but do you recognize?
Yeah, I know what it is. Yeah.
Okay, so you wrote. So the title here is Michael Brown's parents go to an odd place to speak out against the Ferguson police, and then you wrote, what she should be mourning about is that her son was a worthless thug, another Trayvon martyr. So what did you mean by that statement?
Well, exactly what I said. This guy was no damn good. He tried to wrestle away the policeman's gun and shoot him with it. There was no hands up, don't shoot thing. That was shown later to be a lie. And this whole thing was based on this thug who was robbing a store, shoplifting.
This thug.
And then refused to cooperate with the police, and then
refused to cooperate with the police. This thug
tried to shoot the policeman. He's just a worthless thug.
He's just a worthless thug, y'all.
He happened to be black, but that's not really the relevant thing. Do I say anything about him being black? Now, some people say, but the word thug, that's inherently racist. No, it's not. Do you know what a thug is?
And you know what, you piece of shit, garbage human being? You're going to try to go down to the origins of the word thug, and you're going to try to pitch a tent right there, and you're going to try to camp out right there, and you're going to try to play the ignorance is bliss because I'm an old white man, a boomer old ass white man, and try to pretend that you don't understand what the fuck it is when you say that shit.
It's from the thuggy sect of people in 19th century India who would waylay travelers. Hey, can you help jump my car here, my camel, whatever? And then once you got down and helped them, they would garrote you with a scarf and bring the money to the Mother Kali fundraiser. These were the bad guys in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. They actually existed. And so we speak of all predator criminals as thugs. But that has to do not with their race. It's like when Denny's used to be Sambos. People say, racist. Wait, little black Sambo wasn't an African. He was a South Indian. And not that I have no interest in that or sympathy for it, but it's based on somebody's ignorance or lying. The word has become stretched out of all recognition and on purpose to give you the license to shut people up. My point is, look at what's happened here. It doesn't matter what that kid did. The fact that he is black shows it's an injustice, and the overriding assumption is if you're an African American, you can, by definition, you can do no wrong. And therefore, the next step is anything you do cannot be considered wrong.
Oh, but see, this is where your privileged fucking ass, as an old American white man, that's not. All you got to do is open a dictionary, dumbass. A violent, aggressive person, especially one who is a criminal. When's the last time, if ever, and I did a little bit of searching, a little bit. Guess what, Bob? I've never heard you refer to a white man as a thug. I've yet to hear it. I've yet to hear you refer to another white man as a thug. So again, you can do the dance, but I'm so fucking pissed off and I'm disappointed in people trying to give this dude a rite of fucking passage. He's a fucking racist ass bigot and nothing has changed. But one or two people want to be able to have him on the channel for scholarship. Fuck your scholarship. And if you're going to do this just to have this motherfucker on your channel, eat a dick. This is bullshit. This is fucking bullshit.
It's the same weird logic we find in radical holiness movements in Christianity, where they say, I've been sanctified by the Holy Ghost, I'm free from sin, and therefore anything I do now does not count as a sin. I've known people from groups like that. That's what's happened here.
Do you think that, my guess is it's just a very small percentage that would disagree with what you just said. I think it's very reasonable what you said, that we don't respect thugs, right? Mm-hmm. And that if you're a mother and your son has a rap sheet really long of all the things you've done illegally,
and keep in mind, Doug's a fucking piece of shit. He tries to be closeted, but Doug's a bigoted, hateful, racist asshole as well. Just keep it 100. And there's a reason Doug never really pushed back, never asked difficult questions, because number one, this was clickbait for Doug, because Doug is an attention whore. But he's using this because he buys into this bullshit. He buys in this bullshit too. So fuck you, Doug, and fuck you, Bob Price.
You should mourn that and say it's terrible. But my question would be, why do you think that some people do view this as racist? Is this back to what you said earlier, that it's a way to the tribalism and way to dismiss? I call it the feel sorry forness religion. That there's certain people who have a propensity to feel sorry for other groups of people more than others.
The bleeding heart liberal.
Yeah, and this is, I come from the perspective that I think
the bleeding heart liberal. You know what that means, right? What up, Rage? We're on the same page. Bobby Price, out of his mouth, the bleeding heart liberal. And I won't even expand it. You read between the lines. You look into that. You do the research. You listen to the constant nonsense out of this motherfucker's mouth. And if you want to write off on this or just give him a passage, fuck you.
There's a reason why people vote, let's say, Republican or Democrat. All around the world, there's these divisions, and there's a reason for it, and that is because some people, their intuitions or how they were raised.
And by the way, I'm just playing this as a reminder of what happened, however many months ago. And then I'm gonna play the interview from just yesterday, last night, whatever. And now all of a sudden this motherfucker gets a pass. Now all of a sudden this motherfucker gets all these people talking shit about him. And he goes on a channel. He never apologizes. He never apologizes. He doesn't take ownership. He doesn't recognize that he's truly hurt people, damaged people, or could have done that. He just plays fucking dumb the whole time. Why? Who fucking knows?
Or whatever. It's the soft love versus the hard love. And so a person who would take what you said there and say, but it's not their fault. It's because of the system they were placed in. Whereas I think guys like you and me would say, well, wait a minute. There's people.
Guys like you and me, Doug, the white privileged motherfuckers. That's me included. The white privileged motherfuckers, we get to dictate. We get to tell people what they come from, how they should do it, how they should handle it, and how they should overcome all of the shit that's been thrown their way. We should tell them how to do it from our privileged little perch that we sit on as white men. Right, Doug, you fucking dick?
Who maybe have had a raw deal in life, but they don't go out and kill and rob and do all these things. And so at some point, personal responsibility has to fit in here.
Mm-hmm.
So
the deck is stacked, but you're not simply the logical outcome of something. You're not just a function of a machine. And look at the people with the same sort of background who resisted those temptations and went on to do great things. But what happens to them? They get denounced by race hustlers as acting white, which implies that success is impossible, despite the fact that we have had a black president. We're not going.
Oh, of course we're going to get black president. How did I know two white men would go here?
A black vice president, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Somehow we're back in the 50s with Bull Connor. And they've created a fantasy world here. And so they try to keep people down on a democratic plantation, as black people like Candace Owens, says that we're not going to stay on the plantation licking your boots. And that's so it seems to me that it's simply a gimmick. People will say, well, Christ, that this is personal, not political. If you think that, you are very naive. Because the whole idea, once that thing was put on, that clip of her was put on the internet or the news or whatever, it was weaponized and for the particular purpose of erasing any moral distinctions. Race A does it, it's bad. Race B does it, it's good, or at least not so bad. And that is social, civilizational suicide.
Yeah, I was thinking, this reminds me of what happened just a couple days ago on Sunday with Will Smith. And I was thinking to myself, who, I think it's John Voight. And
I'm going to let them finish, but this is where I'm going to wrap up right here, because this is absolutely asinine. What is getting ready to come out both of their mouths is asinine.
Angelina Jolie's dad, who's an actor and an outspoken Republican, if he would have walked up and slapped Chris Rock, my suspicion is he would have been escorted out of the building.
Yeah.
But when Will Smith does it, he's not. Now, I don't know, but my suspicion is that race is a factor here, and that it's actually more racist not to escort Will Smith out than to leave him there. Like it's like you're saying it's okay, and and some people would say that you can't even say anything against Will Smith here because you don't know him, and you don't. But would they say the same thing about Jon Voight?
So to prop up your racist ass shit, Doug and Bobby, to prop up your racist ass shit, you're going to build a hypothetical. What if Jon Voight? Well, Jon Voight didn't. Jon Voight didn't. So why are you even bringing that shit up? What the fuck is the point? What the fuck is the point in your hypothetical, Doug? Other than trying to relieve yourself and Bobby and whoever else that are part of your they're your minions that agree to this shit. What else would you do other than trying to absolve yourself from any type of ridicule, any type of accountability to being a bigoted, raceful ass dick? And yes, we're aware that Mr. Voight is not an upstanding human being at by I think our day-to-day standards, so to speak. But I still say you're building a hypothetical to defend or deflect maybe from your bigoted, racist, hateful position. And that's bullshit. That's bullshit. So we've heard enough there from Mr. Price and Mr. I'm trying to find my other scene here. There it is. We've heard enough from Bobby and Doug shit. Now let's get happened. Let's get to what happened last night, yesterday, whatever. Because this is why I'm like, that shit pissed me. This is why I'm more pissed off tonight, because I'm like, God damn, man. Like we're just gonna sign off on this shit now. That's what we're doing. All right, let me get everything pulled up here. All right, I'm gonna play a little song. I need a drink of water, so I'm gonna grab a water. I'll play a little tune for you. I'll be right back.
All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Do you understand? You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers.
I am the prodigy, probably. An oddity, commodity to fuck up your psychology. I honestly, possibly, constantly body these fucking wannabes. I am the novelty, fulfillment of the prophecy. I am apostasy's atrocity, demonstrably an anomaly. Just check the verbosity of my anthology. What you want, I do this shit unconsciously. I told you after Devil's Night, I'm coming down swinging, hit 'em with that boom, and keep their heads ringing. Boom, told you what I do.
All right, so Neil, Gnostic Informant, had Bobby Boy on his channel with Jay, and I can't remember the other individual's name, so I don't want to say it because I don't remember it, but it'll be on here. Yeah, after everything we heard in that interview, and based on what was the questions are asked, what was said here, to say I'm disappointed, frustrated, pissed off, it would probably be an understatement. But let's get to it.
And welcome back to the Gnostic Informant, and you are about to attain true gnosis. And today I'm joined by Cristi Hansen, as well as Jay Bundy from the channel Pocket Locker 86. Links in the description for the channel. We'll talk about that again more.
Thank you.
And Dr. Bob, who is, well, you were on recently, but besides that, it's been a while since we've had you on. But yeah, you were on one time recently. But the point of this discussion is to clear the air on some things. So about 8 months ago, Dr. Bob was on a podcast with
in my humble personal opinion, the air was not cleared at all. The air was not cleared at all.
Doug from Pine Creek, and some things were said, and a lot of people were hurt by some of the things that you said, Dr. Bob. And so I just wanted to give you I wanted to start off by giving you the floor, Dr. Bob, and you can do whatever you want, clear the air, apologize or not apologize. I want to give you a chance to clear the air, and then we'll have a discussion about this. So, Dr. Bob, the floor is yours.
And first, again, this is my point of view, and maybe I don't have the right outlook on this. Please, in the chat or in the comments, let me know. But given the bullshit, the hateful, bigoted, racist, homophobic, transphobic, fucked up shit that this man has uttered from his mouth, it's not about, hey, Bob, you clear the air. You tell us. No, I got questions, bro. I got questions. Because if he's ignorant and he doesn't know, but just telling him to clear the air. What?
Yeah, the cancel business that I experienced, that really doesn't and didn't bother. I'm doing my own thing in any event, so I'm not really emotionally or professionally dependent on any particular channel of exposure I have. But the thing that does bother me and has bothered me about this is the fact, as I see it, that things I said were misconstrued, and I'm still not quite sure why, except that
here's why. You said hateful, bigoted, racist, transphobic, homophobic ass shit. It wasn't misconstrued. It was received exactly the way you delivered it.
I know some people are just sensitive to any buzzwords or whatever coming up, and it's as if you used a curse word and turned them off. But somehow I was perceived as being anti-women, anti-gay, anti-trans.
Good to see you, Reg. Have a good day at work, man.
Racist, well, all these things I despise, and I always have, as anybody that is familiar with my various.
Says every other racist walking the planet. Got it.
Crazy things, all that ought to know. So obviously, somehow, I have said things that wounded and offended people. I didn't mean to do that, and so I'm quite happy to ask their forgiveness for that. I try to minimize any kind of conflict or offense with people. I somehow didn't do it then, and so I owe an apology for that. But excuse me, the real tragedy of a thing like that is not that I feel insulted, because.
All right, so I watched all this through, this all the way through. Sorry, one time, and old Bobby says, like, I would owe an apology, or I didn't mean to, or like danced and tiptoed around it. But from my recollection, never one time does Bob ever come out and say, I'm sorry. I apologize. I realize that I fucked the fuck up. But motherfuckers just giving a pass, man. And I'll get to that as we get towards the end of this. And I'll probably speed it up a little more.
I don't. I've got a thicker skin than that. Or maybe it's just fat. I don't know. But the problem is that you don't get any chance to mutually understand one another if the mere occurrence of certain words and topics even throw up a wall. And I don't need to hear any more of that. And as if I were to say, oh, what's this? Somebody is a communist. Well, that's the end of that. Because in fact, as the old cliche, some of my best friends are commies, and I'm not kidding. I am enthused about friendship.
You know what my late mother, rest in peace, Mom. You know what my mom taught me, Bobby? Show me your friends, I will show you your future. You just admitted you have commie friends. You welcome that type of company.
A dialogue with people from all different perspectives, Muslims, fundamentalists, Christians, Satanists, communists, Moonies. I count people from all these perspectives as friends, gays, straights, whatever, transgender. It doesn't matter to me, except that I look for relationships and friendships with people.
I call bullshit, because if that were the case, you would not be so ignorant. You would not be so ignorant to say the things that you've said and still lack the ability to directly, flat out say, I am sorry. I apologize. I take ownership. I take responsibility. I stand accountable. However, but you don't do that.
That are different from me, whether I agree or disagree, whether I'm like or unlike them. I feel like the way I can learn about people and issues is by.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up really bad. Are you plugged into Wi-Fi, or do you have are you plugged in directly? You're breaking up really bad.
Yeah,
it's like hard to understand anything you're saying.
It is.
Yeah. Maybe try restart. Maybe try refreshing the page. But I do want to stop. I want to jump in and ask you. It's just a simple question. If you're there, I don't know if you're there or not.
And Rick, just I'm in rare mode tonight. I'm pissed the fuck off. So I'm in rare mode.
Try joining again.
Dr. Bob and become robot.
Yeah, Dr. Robotnik. Yeah, I don't know what you guys thought about that. I do want to ask him if he's sorry for hurting people's feelings, because that's kind of what this is about. And it wasn't. Here he is, Dr. Bob. I just have a question I want to ask. Oh, it's already glitching before I even got him on here. Are you there?
Go get out and come back in.
Yeah, if you could do that. Yeah.
Are you sick of having issues with your webinars, wasting tons of time on troubleshooting with attendees? If
yes,
so,
I am.
All right. So I'm gonna have to kick him out for a second. So, you guys, there he is. All right, Dr. Bob. I just want to ask you a question, just straight up to the point. You said some things. I'm not asking you to necessarily take back what you said or like change your thoughts or be a thought police on you. But but it's a simple thing is some things that you said hurt some people's feelings. Do you feel sorry for people? Do you feel sorry for that, or
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna stop there, Neil. You and I have never had any issues. I'm not even trying to start issues, but that's a bullshit ass fucking question, bro. That's a bullshit fucking ass question. That's a bullshit ass fucking question. Are you sorry that you may have hurt someone's feelings? Is this kindergarten? Are you scared of this man? Are you intimidated by this man? It's not about hurting fucking feelings. It's, Bobby, do you realize the trauma? Do you realize the damage that you may have done and probably did do? We may never hear from them. But the damage that you may have inflicted. Do you understand? Do you realize that? More importantly, do you acknowledge it? Are you going to take ownership of it and stand accountable for the things you've said? That's a bullshit fucking question, dude.
I always try to avoid hurtful words. I carefully parse what I'm going to say, so because I don't want to be misunderstood and I don't want to be offensive to anyone, especially if I happen to disagree with them. Because if you don't approach issues with friendly dialogue and sincere curiosity to understand the other person, what's the point? So that is my approach. Obviously, didn't come across that way to people, and then in that case, I have failed to communicate, and I certainly apologize for that.
We have a super chat from a friend of the channel, Kesha White. Is Bob sorry?
Oh, yeah. I really want to get along with people and to be correctly understood that I am for just about everybody.
So far, all he's attempted to apologize for is being misunderstood. He's apologizing for being misunderstood. He's not taking responsibility. He's not taking ownership. He's not being holding himself accountable to what he's actually said and done. He's only apologetic for being misunderstood. Thanks.
I don't write anybody off.
Anyone else want to ask any questions?
Sure. So, Bob, I really appreciate you doing this because we don't often get to have these conversations, and I'm thankful to Neil for reaching out to myself and Cristi and giving us an opportunity to participate in the conversation as well. I guess for starters, I think it means something to me that you're expressing an intent not to hurt people. To be honest, I think you were on that panel with Doug, and Doug makes a lot of content about some of those same controversial issues. He seems to be well aware that his stances and his content hurt people, and he doesn't not seem to care. He seems to enjoy that. Like it's all for his entertainment, and people should be more dead inside or whatever. And I think one of the distinctions that I've seen between you and Doug, right, is that I don't think you express your opinions with the intention to hurt people. And so I think intention matters in that regard.
Oh, man. This will load back up, but so this is Jay from Pocket Locker, and I just recently started watching and listening to his content, which I enjoyed up until tonight. Up until tonight. Because the things I'm saying, I was listening to his stream a night or 2 nights ago before he was getting ready, or as he was getting prepared for this conversation, and everything he was saying, I was like, yeah, get it, bro. Get it. Do the damn thing. And then this opening line, like this baffled me. I was like, all right, I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna keep listening. And I got more and more frustrated. I got more and more pissed off because I'm like, why are y'all letting this motherfucker off with this shit? Why are you letting this motherfucker off with this shit? Do you remember what the Christians say? The road, good intentions pave the road to hell. You can think this motherfucker has good intentions all day fucking long. But notice he only apologizes because you misunderstood him. You misunderstood him. He didn't say anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. You misunderstood him.
At the same time, I think a lot of people would be more than happy to move past this and continue supporting you as a scholar and, the role you play in the content in our community. But I do think some of the things you said were really problematic. And I think that, probably people would want to be convinced that you understand the problems with what you said rather than just feeling bad that what you said hurt people.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good thinking. Yeah, I'd like to know, what the heck it sounds like I'm saying, and
Sure.
the issues. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll let Cristi get in here before I get back to that because I don't want to dominate the conversation.
No, but see, and where's all the smoke, bro? Where's all the smoke? You were talking all this shit yesterday. Where's all this smoke, man? You got this racist, bigot, homophobic, transphobic motherfucker in front of you that you had all the gas for 24 hours ago. You had all that gas.
I'm glad that you were able to come off and you're trying to understand. Because I mean, I want to say this as, I guess I'm going to come off like Dr. Bob's attorney right now, but whatever it is, this is how I honestly feel. You're from a generation. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm not going to tell your age out there, but
I'm 68.
Yeah. So you come from I'm not saying that's like an excuse to just say whatever you want, but you are a lot older than us. And a lot of things have changed in just the last 10, 20 years alone, especially in the last 5 to 10 years. There's a lot of different new norms now. People are adjusting to change. And I think for the better. And you might not see that right now because you grew up in a different time period than us, but that's just the reality right now. And so I'm not that.
No. And again, Neil, I'm gonna say the same shit. You're giving him hall passes. You're writing hall pass after hall pass after fucking goddamn hall pass for him being a racist fucking bigot asshole. Why are we writing all these hall passes for this motherfucker to get off the hook?
Surprised that certain things like this are going to happen, and I really hope that there could be some education on both sides in this thing. Cristi, please ask if you have anything you want to say. Cristi, please.
And I want to say, Cristi, the whole time was consistent, and was not intimidated, was not scared, was not afraid, and did not back down, and pushed back, and asked the difficult questions. And it did their best to put Bobby's feet to the fire. On this panel was the only one. And I admire you, and I respect the hell out of you for doing that, and good for you. We've never spoken, we've never met, but I'm proud of you, and I'm glad you did it.
Sure. So, Dr. Bob, hi.
Hey.
It's been a long time since you and I talked.
Yeah, it's great to see you.
Yeah, for those that aren't aware, Dr. Bob is actually the person that gave me my first go-to on the first article I ever published.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, you invited me to the Journal of Higher Criticism right after you and I did a stream together on MythVision, early MythVision.
You hadn't published anything before then?
No, that was my first time.
Well, I hope it's a continuing thing. I missed your presence.
It is, actually. I'm now up to my 15th peer-reviewed article.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, you basically launched my my career, as it were, in biblical studies. And it's been very exciting. And it was watching this situation play out, because I wasn't really part of the whole canceling situation that happened last year. It actually, for me, it was actually during the whole flashing swords crisis that happened in I think it was 2020. And so that was a really interesting situation. So for those that don't know, at least from my perspective, what happened was, at the time Dr. Bob was editing a bunch of things. I was actually supposed to be in the Varieties of Jesus Mythicism book at the time. I had written a chapter on the history of mythicism for that. And then Dr. Bob's Flashing Swords book was being released, and it was an anthology of short stories, and Dr. Bob had written an introduction for it. And the introduction had, for a lot of reasons that I found very problematic, different political things in there that I just could not agree with at all. Things that were very easily read as less than charitable, we'll say. And a lot of other authors agreed with that, and it led to a whole situation where a ton of authors were pulling their chapters. I initially was going to pull my chapter, and then I tried getting in touch with you about it and having a conversation.
And just a brief background. I've only been able to look into it a little bit, but due to Bobby's bigoted positions and stances and things that he's not just said, but repeated out of his goddamn mouth, there was a book that he did an introduction to, and people that were involved in the book started wanting to pull their contributions out of said book because they didn't want to be tied to the bigoted fucking racist asshole that Bobby is. So that's what's being discussed.
I sent an email, and I still actually have it. Actually, you sent me an email saying that you sent me an email because you knew that I was upset about it, and I was considering pulling my chapter. And then I responded with a bit of a discussion on why I found things problematic and why I was considering that. And then you just never responded to me.
Was this something you didn't have any contribution to Flashing Swords, though, right?
No. This was on the. It was because of the Flashing Swords situation, and so I was decided, because you didn't respond to me over email, I waited it out. The reason I was upset was because a lot of the things that you were saying were particularly hitting me. At that time, I was actually just coming out to people as trans, and that summer I actually ended up suffering death threats over it. So when your stuff came out too, and then it was also, like, at least from my perspective, rather problematic, it hit really hard. So I sent the email. I tried to talk to you, and you never responded to me. And so I decided to wait.
I have no recollection of that. I'll hunt for the email. Could you resend it?
Yeah, I've still got it here.
Oh boy. Great.
But what ended up happening is then you did a video that you put on your channel where you tried explaining things, and there were a lot of other things in there that got a little worse. You compared being transgender to having a body dysmorphic disorder where we lob off body parts and stuff, and things that just are not actually what are even remotely what's the case actually according to psychologists.
Yes, and Bobby is on record as for making those comparisons, that those in the trans community, or some of those in the trans community, I'll try to play charitable and nice there, that it's body dysmorphia, and they're just wanting to cut parts of their body off for whatever goddamn fucking reason that Bobby thinks they're doing it for.
And that, coupled with no response to my email over a week, I pulled my chapter.
I'm so sorry about that. I wouldn't have. I wondered how I lost it or something. I certainly would have responded, and I realized you'd emailed it. So I'd love to read it.
Hey, hold on. What is that I smell? Bullshit.
Hey, let me ask you this. I'm glad that you just apologized, Dr. Bob. That's really, I was very happy just to hear that just now.
Neil, stop it. Stop it. Bro. Are you serious right now? Are you, This is now my second time watching it only pisses me off more. Are you fucking serious right now? You bought that? You bought that?
That was great. I didn't know how you were going to respond to that.
That was great. That was great. What the fuck are you talking about, bro?
And I was surprised that you. Thank you for that. I'm just gonna ask you a question though. You used to teach a long time ago, before a lot of these changes went down in society. And let's just say you're teaching today, Professor Bob Price at Boston University, and let's just say that you have a student whose name is John. About a month into the semester, John transitions and changes to Jeanette. I don't know, just an example. What are you going to do? What are you going to call that? What are you going to call that student when you call on that student in the class? I just want to
Jeanette.
I mean, I think it's just certain things that people are asking for are just very simple. No one's like putting a gun to anyone's head and saying that, you need to.
These are softball questions, man. Of course, he knows why he's coming on this. He knows why he's coming on this stream. These are softball ass questions. Come on, bro.
Change your life, or that's my 2 cents. Let me give it over to someone else. Kristin,
yeah. So like, the reason why I've been really skeptical since then as well is like in your live stream with Doug, you made some comments like no one's going to force me to use the pronouns they want. People are not going to force me to use Caitlyn Jenner's name, and then you consistently were using their dead name, Bruce, instead.
I always have referred to her as Caitlyn.
Always?
Yeah, in the live stream you weren't though.
Always?
I wonder if that's somehow misconstrued, because I have never, like I made a point like what.
Notice it's just constant apologies for all of us that disagree with him, that we misunderstand him.
What's his name in Canada makes that I won't change my. I won't go out of the way and say them for an individual, for instance, but something about people's preferred names. I would have no problem with that, and never have.
This is actually an interesting point on like they them for singular individuals. Like, why wouldn't you use that for a singular individual?
Well, sometimes you do anyway, without regard to this whole debate, when you're saying someone and it's not clear, and you wind up saying they. But I resist having a speech code imposed upon me, which is a bit different than haggling over somebody's name. I mean, I go along with how they identify. I take each individual as they come. I'm just not going to change my grammar because somebody would prefer that I did. I don't want to be. To me, that's.
I'm not going to inconvenience myself. I'm not going to inconvenience myself with changing a word or two. What's up, Ricky Johnson? And he absolutely did. Yeah, I've watched that 2 or 3 times now. I'm not going to inconvenience myself. In knowing that if I do inconvenience myself, it may make you feel more comfortable. It may make you feel more included. It may make you feel more loved and appreciated and validated. And that you belong here with me as a friend, as a co-inhabitant in this reality on this planet. I'm not going to inconvenience myself and make you feel better. Why? Because Bobby's a bigot.
Manipulation, but it's not that and whatever they want is fine with me. It's just that I don't feel I have to be obliged to adopt linguistic forms that I don't buy. Just, here's the latest thing, you better do it. No, you're not telling me what to say.
No, it's about respect, Bobby. It's about being a decent human being. Why can't you just settle at that? It's just about being a decent human being. That, like what does it do to your day-to-day life? What negative impact does it have on your life to address someone or speak to someone or call them by their preferred name or pronoun? Like, what negative does that have in or on your life? I'll answer the question, 0. And that means the only reason that you continue to hold this position, again, is because you are a bigoted, homophobic, transphobic fucking asshole.
So why don't you buy this linguistic form?
It just seems ungrammatical. Now, here's where I probably has something to do with my age, but I'm an editor and a grammar nut. I like to keep things straight, as I have always said.
Oh, we know. Oh, we know, Bobby. You want to keep everything as straight as possible because anything else makes you uncomfortable.
I hesitate to even end a sentence with a preposition or to split an infinitive. So I guess it just seems to me that I don't want to change. I don't want to adopt new speak, so to speak, because some regime says so. But that has nothing to do with people's personal.
And see, this part right here, like, was the slam dunk for me. This was a slam fucking dunk. And Neil, Jay, whoever the fuck else is signing off on this shit now and playing patty cake with this shit and sugarcoating it. If you didn't hear what the fuck this man was saying right here, his mind has not been changed. He's still the same bigoted, hateful, racist, homophobic, transphobic piece of shit that he was 24 hours ago. And you know what? I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that anyone signed off on this shit and said that a mind had changed or like this was productive or anything was advanced in this. No, here's what I see. Neil, you were afraid to ask the tough questions. Jay, you bitched out, bro. You bitched out. You were talking all that shit 24 hours ago. You had all that gas. Then you got in front of this man and you backed the fuck down.
Names or any preference they have in conversation to them or about them.
So this is why I find this one really interesting, actually, specifically from a grammar standpoint. Linguistically and historically, we can actually confirm that people have been using they, them as a gender-neutral pronoun for individuals authentically since the 13th century. It has been. It is actually a consistent feature of the English language. And
notice Bobby Price, the historian. Didn't know that.
The reason that it's been usually not accepted in like textbooks and stuff is because later on what ended up happening is that him was essentially took over as the singular neutral gender pronoun. In addition to also being the masculine one, it ended up doubling over. What has essentially happened is basically that we've just reverted to the way that English used to be.
Interesting, because I went for him or her or his or her. I figured that was probably the way to go, but let
me jump in for 1 second because I heard Dr. Bob, you said something about on an individual basis. I have no problem changing pronouns for people, but you said like on a grand scale, you're not gonna. This is my grammar. No one's gonna make. If I'm not, but like, correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone on the panel, but I don't think anyone's making people change their overall. It's always been about individuals. It's always been about situations. Every situation we come across, you meet someone who might go by ma'am, Mrs., Miss. This is the same thing as that. I don't think this is all individualism to begin with. So with that being said, I mean, I don't even know if there's even really an issue other than a misunderstanding of how we're going about it.
No, Neil, because you're placating. You're placating, Neil. You're fucking placating. You're literally doing what what's his nuts did for Kanye West when Kanye West got on his channel and he was trying to create outs for him. He was trying to create bumpers for him to get out of the bullshit, the dumbass shit he was saying. You're doing the same. You're throwing him life jackets, bro. What the fuck is happening right now? Do you forget what the fuck this dude said? I don't get it, man.
Yeah,
well, Jordan Peterson took this to court when he was going to be fired for not using whatever the required lingo was. So I think it does happen.
He went to court over Bill C-16. Guess how many people went to jail for Bill C-16? Guess how many? 0. Bill C-16 is only for hate speech. It's not saying that if you accidentally one day said he and for she, cops are gonna come and lock you up. Nobody ever said that. If you actually read Bill C-16, it's for extreme cases. Like, for example, a teacher in a university has a student and they go out of their way to wrongly say, like, they're like being harsh about it. That's what
that's absurd. Yeah, they shouldn't do that. I mean, that's
that's basically where people like Jordan Peterson in particular, there's a reason that he's actually like currently being investigated for psychological malpractice and other things. It's specifically because he doesn't he's not even contributing to the field anymore. And fellow professors who would sit in on his classes would know how he would essentially pass off non-researched opinions as fact to his students and things like that. Jordan Peterson essentially created a huge scare over the Bill C-16 and other things like that. That just wasn't the case. In fact, like, no one was getting fired over misgendering someone, as we call it, or by like using the wrong pronouns or anything like that. That was never the case. And like, I always understand when people, for the most part, I always understand when people make a mistake like that. For instance, this last year I came out to my grandmother's, and my eldest grandmother is 86. And she's really trying, but it's really hard. And she dead names me. She uses the wrong pronouns on occasion and stuff, and it's fine. I understand. She's gone 26 years of me having a very specific name and pronouns.
Okay.
Well, let me throw something that might make sense for, like, Dr. Bob. I know you're a promoter of the Second Amendment right of protecting yourself with a weapon. Now, imagine if I said to you, you have a firearm, and you said, yes, I have a firearm, and it's legal, and I'm protected under the Second Amendment. And I say to you, but someone in your house is going to take the gun and shoot somebody and kill somebody. And I'm just like trying to give you the worst scenario ever to try to scare you. And you're just and you're thinking to yourself, that scenario is not going to happen. Just think about that. And as far as these other things that you hear from people like Jordan Peterson, they're going to make everybody talk a certain way. It's going to be Orwellian. Like, he's going to the extreme level. That's not reality. It's not happening.
So,
Neil, how does that metaphoric example even follow when we're talking about people's identities? You're talking about a firearm.
So it's like making the exception into the rule.
Basically, yes. And like with most people like me who are trans, the most we just want out of this world is to be able to just be respected, have our names and pronouns respected, and like be able to use the bathroom without being harassed. Like that's basically all we want. It's the bar at this point, because what's ended up happening is because of people like Peterson. There's been such a scare about people like me that there are states that would, if I lived in them, deny me medical care. They just passed a law in one state that would give EMTs and others the ability to reject me medical care based on what genitals I have.
But Bobby Price, would they deny you health care based on what type of gun you carry? Just asking for a friend.
What is the possible rationale for something like that?
Because I'm not fitting into what they're wanting. What's ended up happening is that people like Peterson have essentially just aligned themselves with a really fundamentalist, far-right Christian approach to everything. And when we've picked up that rhetoric, like, I'm not going to be silenced into using people's pronouns and stuff like that, it's furthering a message that people like Peterson have been essentially pushing to further attack people like me. Like, there's so many places now, like states, where if I went there, I might not be able to get the care I need to actually like treat things like my gender dysphoria, because since I'm trans and I have gender dysphoria, which essentially means that I have things that make it extremely hard for me to live being perceived as male.
And remember what Bobby said about that before. It causes psychological trauma.
And so getting treatment for that, like hormone therapy, and eventually like that breast implants and things like that, are they're medical necessities for my psychological state. And in several states, I could potentially just be denied those outright now. And that's what people like Peterson have been supporting. Peterson has come out in favor of these. And it's something that's been going on across a lot of the right wing now. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump, so many others have all been stating how much they want to go after people like me. They banned books from schools for just talking about gay people existing or being. Wow. That's what's happening now. There was orders in Florida just recently to essentially just start eradicating libraries in schools and purging them of anything that mentions LGBTQ people.
Sheesh, I had not heard anything, quite that far. The way I have heard it, and I'm far from thinking that anything you hear in the media is to be believed. I've heard it represented as an attempt to encourage kids that are too young to really make responsible decisions, to sort of push them into this. Now, if that's happening, I think that's unwise, but that's the only way I've ever heard it. I mean, you obviously know more about this than I do, so I'm not challenging.
No one's trying to push this on kids or anything. Like, I personally would never want to push what I go through on anyone. Like the reality of the situation is that transgender people make up less than 2% of the population of the country. We are extremely tiny, and it's really telling how much that people like Peterson and other right-wing proponents decided to,
like Bobby and Pine Creek,
spin this narrative that we're trying to push this on kids. Then all we've asked for is that we teach people to just respect us. And so like when they're talking about things getting pushed on kids, the most it is maybe like they read from a storybook about gay people being married and having a family. And that's not pushing this on kids. That's just showing that there's other kinds of lives. There's other people who live other lives other than mom and dad.
Yeah, I had my mind made up on that one nearly 30 years ago, when I saw for the first time in years an old friend of mine from junior high, a real good friend, who I thought was probably gay, and he in the meantime had come out as gay and married another man, and they had adopted a cute little kid from Bolivia and were about to adopt another one. They invited me and my 2 daughters and my wife over for dinner once, and I of course readily went, and I thought forever after, these people are like Ward and June Cleaver. I mean, there's nothing weird going on here. And so I have always suspected and rejected the idea that gay marriage was somehow perverse. And so it often takes, meeting the people in the flesh to really get a handle on what the issue is. And I had gotten a different impression from the discussions I've heard. So I appreciate it.
I have gay friends. That means I'm not homophobic. I have gay friends. Now you sound like the racist. I have black friends. I have black friends. Therefore, I'm not racist.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand, because I came from a really far right Christian background. My parents weren't like that, and actually my grandfather on my dad's side was gay, actually. But I didn't know that growing up. I didn't know anything about it growing up, and I grew up in a far right Christian environment, and so all the stuff I was exposed to was essentially a lot of the things that I'm assuming a lot of things that you've been exposed to, like Jordan Peterson stuff and stuff like those discussions about how there's like this attempt to push these things on kids and stuff in schools and things like that. And it's when I finally started talking to other trans people, and
Bobby's already admitted he watches Fox News. What the fuck do we expect, people? He watches Fox News.
Entered the LGBT community in more depth. It's like, no. Like the most I've ever seen anything happen is that there's been occasional like fun time events where they have a drag queen come and just read stories at schools with kids, and it's a drag queen. Like, statistically speaking, gay people and like drag queens and stuff are.
Listen to this point, and again, big fucking shout out. This is she about to drop a bomb.
Safer to be around children than most straight men are. Statistically, like, this has been proven repeatedly since the 90s, that straight men are, specifically straight men who are close to the family, are more dangerous to children than a random gay person would ever.
To me, it's no different than having like a Buffalo Bills cheerleader come into school, and like how they're like dressed in real. Like, nobody got offended by that. Like, it's that's just
What? Did anybody else just hear that?
And by the way, there's a really good question. I don't mean to cut you. Where'd we go?
Neil, are you serious right now, bro? Are you serious?
Dr. Bob disappeared.
I'll probably back. I was going to ask, this was a good question. Does he understand why people were offended? I mean, I think this is the crux of the thing. Then I want to let you get some questions in, Jay, as well.
No, you're good. I just think that's what we're working here. Maybe in the meantime, Neil, you can tell people like why we're here, like why you want to.
Oh yeah, so some people are probably wondering what's going on. I don't even know.
Exactly.
About 8 months ago, about there, right around there, Dr. Bob was in a podcast with someone else, and they were talking, and they were saying some things that were seen as very offensive by people. They were offensive, and they didn't. I don't even think they even realized that what they were saying were offensive. And that's why I pulled this question up. Do they even understand? And so some of the stuff.
No. Welcome, my darkened understanding. Normally, I'm much more energetic and positive right now, but I'm pissed the fuck off. So you probably jumped in on the wrong stream. Neil, what are you doing, bro? This is so fucking disappointing, man. This is so fucking disappointing.
Stuff that was being said, like for example, when they were talking about the riots in certain cities from Black Lives Matter, and what do you think should be done about the riots? Dr. Bob said they should all be shot down. I'm like, whoa, that's a little intense. And then there was other things being said, like trans people only come out because the school.
As in, like,
like when they come
essentially
out,
has been like pushing transness on them as like a fad. And it's like,
so people were just like, wow, what am I listening to? And
most of the time, a transgender teenager is lucky if they can even use the bathroom in their public school. At least the one that actually conforms to their gender, and not the one that they. Oh, he's back.
Got disconnected, but it's okay, Dr. Bob.
Hey, you're back! Yay!
Now there's a question, and I'm not skipping. And I see the super chats, and I'm going to get to them. And this question is just so perfect, and I don't know why I didn't ask this. Does Dr. Bob understand why people are offended? Do you know why? Like, can you just answer that? Like, I sound like I'm interrogating. I don't mean to come off as interrogating, but like, it is a good.
No, fuck it. I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it, Neil. Why are you being a bitch? Interrogate his ass. Interrogate his ass. He's been a hateful, bigoted, racist, transphobic, homo. You throw all of it on there. Any of it that you want to know. Why are you afraid to interrogate him? What the fuck is happening?
Good question. People just don't understand why people were offended. It's just a good question.
Who are you asking?
You, Dr. Bob.
What do you mean? Who the fuck else on the Neil? That's how poorly you're delivering the questions. He doesn't even know who you're asking.
Well, my guess was that when certain topics come up, that from somebody is from a different perspective, some people have the tendency to like there were things I said that. I said things like, I believe that women are superior to men, like Ashley Montague argued. And yet people will read that and say, you're a misogynist. what? I don't understand how they got that. And if I say like some African American self-appointed leaders appeared to me to be exploiting their flocks, they're not racist. No, I'm trying to weed out exploiters of the people I am favoring here. So sometimes I think, is it merely bringing up a certain issue that somehow people are taking as a microaggression or something? So I remain kind of confused about that, and I would like to better understand. I mean, that's just my theory as to what's going on.
Again, no apologies, no ownership, no responsibility, no anything, no accountability. It's, I'm only sorry because you misunderstood me.
I appreciate the honest. If you don't understand why people are, that's great. Like, you don't have to like give the right answer just to get out of the situation. Like, let's be real here, right? Now, so people might be wondering why I'm even doing this.
Well, Neil, if that's what you want, if you want him to be real, pin him down, ask him the difficult questions, and quit fucking sugarcoating it. Why are we placating to this bullshit? Did you not watch the Pine Creek fucking interview? Did you not hear the things he said about the trans community? Did you not hear the fucked up shit he said about black people and Black Lives Matter? Did you not listen to that shit, or did you ignore it? What the fuck is happening? I'm so fucking pissed and so fucking disappointed right now.
Why does Neil want to have? Why does he want to redeem Dr. Pop after what he said? Well, here I'll straight up answer from the heart. I enjoy having conversations with Dr. Bob on the topics of ancient mythology. I don't bring in Dr. Bob on my channel to hear his politics, to hear who he's going to vote for, to get his opinion on social issues. I don't ever ask him those things. I like having him on because him and I are very similar in the fact that we both come at the ancient text, the Bible, with a very critical approach. We're both very critical about this stuff, but we also love it. We also are trying to understand it, so we give it a fair shake. And if you watch my channel, I'm not like most atheist channels that are just trying to debunk the situation. I'm actually trying to understand the text. Dr. Bob is the same way, and I look up to him. He's been doing this longer than I've been alive, basically. And a lot of the stuff I learned is from you, and I read a lot of your books, and I really appreciate you in that vein. But I also understand that there are some people who are concerned with your approach to other things.
So you're not, Neil. That's what I just heard. That's what I just heard. What I heard is I appreciate Bobby, the bigot. I appreciate him. I appreciate my conversations with him. I appreciate his scholarship. There's a lot of people take issue, Bobby. So you need to explain yourself to them, not me. I'm cool. I support you. And I'll sign off. I'll sign off on all the dumb shit and racist ass shit and hateful ass shit that you've said, because I enjoy our scholarly conversations. That's what the fuck I just heard. And that's disappointing.
So with that being said, I wanted to bring you on to just have a little education session and try to understand each other, try to clear the air and try to build a bridge again. That's what I'm here for. And so I don't know.
No, Neil, you just played your hand, bro. You just played your hand. You don't have any issues with him. You're doing this so that you're trying to create this narrative or this position where it's okay now for you to have him on the channel and you not get canceled because you have Price on there. You've already sided with it. You just played your fucking hands, dude.
Oh, maybe I should toss it over to Jay. And Jay, if you have any questions.
So for me, while we're, we'll stick to the same topic for now. Some of the problems that I heard is, as an educator, I am first and foremost an ally to my students. And so the example of a student, going through a transition while in my class is something where my classroom needs to be a safe space for that student. And if I or anyone else in that class refuses to use the pronoun requested by that student, that's a problem. Because now I got a student who's waking up in the morning and they're having unnecessary social anxiety and they're not focused on biology. And so this is a really important issue at universities. And as academics, it's really important that we set an inclusive tone. And so I don't understand why it would be a problem to ask people to go out of their way to use the pronouns that someone asked. The other thing that I'm learning, and we're all learning, right, as we go in life, is I'm learning how serious of an issue this is.
Damn, bro, where's all that gas? Where's all that gas, bro? Jay, where's all that gas you had 24 hours ago? Where's all that gas, bro? Now you're all meek and mild and quiet.
As Cristi was kind enough to share, and as other trans stories have depicted to me, being called the wrong name, someone using the wrong gender pronouns, is a source of denying this person their identity. It is one of the most hurtful things you can do to that person. Now, as a common courtesy and recognizing that, we've all come to age in a world that hasn't fully accepted our queer community, our trans community, our non-binary community, they've learned to take it on the chin a little bit. Okay, if somebody uses the wrong name or uses the wrong pronoun and they didn't mean to, I can roll with it, right? But when they make it really clear, hey, this is what I need you to call me, and then people refuse to, that is, to me, it's an act of it's real weaponized language. It's an incredibly hurtful thing. And so all of us have to let them take the lead on this, because we may never fully understand why something like a pronoun would mean so much to someone, because we don't have the lived experience where that's part of our story. And so at some point we have to understand their stories and understand what's going on right now. And what's going on right now is largely due, at least in America, to the fundamentalist right-wing political ideology and its allegiance to, the fundamentalist religious narratives. They're in the middle of a culture war. And people are fighting every day to take their rights from them, to marginalize them. And those are on the good days where we're not hearing about laws being passed against them or actual terrorist attacks, actual shootings, actual bombs. And so those of us that are just trying to create a harmonious world for everybody to cohabitate as best as we can, we have to understand that this is literally the least we can do. And I'm thankful for you for hearing that out.
And you know what? Just because, look, I'm not going to be that dude, man. I'm not going to be that motherfucker. So this is Jay 24 hours ago.
Feelings, okay, but you just stating facts is your behavior. So the rest of us get to sit back and assess, which facts did you tell us? Why did you tell us those facts? What are the other facts related to that situation? How did you represent or fail to represent those other important factors? Okay? If I point out every time a female colleague of mine gets fired because they're a bad teacher and they fail to publish enough research to make tenure. Jay, it turns out when I came to class on Thursday, I was John, but yeah, deal than I thought. I was always on. Short for Jay Fox. That's why my nickname is Jay. What is the point? Everybody fucking called me Jay. When I said, yo, I'm Fox. When people started calling me Jay Fox, I was like, nah, it's Fox. Just Fox is cool. Just Fox is cool. Literally, everyone called me Fox. My name wasn't Fox. It had legally changed to Fox. I didn't have any fucking documents that said Fox on it. All I said is call me Fox. Motherfuckers were calling me Fox. I switched it up, said call me Jay. Motherfuckers were calling me Jay. My colleagues, my students, they all call me Jay. Senior year, my parents got divorced. My mom, my stepdad got divorced. All of a sudden, I wanted to go back to Jason Bundy. I remember the first time to announce the principal or somebody called me to the office. Jason Bundy, can you please report to the principal's office? Jason Bundy to the office. Motherfuckers were literally looking around at me like, who the fuck is Jason Bundy? Jay, what are they talking about? And I told them straight up, yeah, my parents are getting divorced. I'm going back to using my legal name, which is Jason Bundy. Guess what? From that moment on, everybody called me Jason Bundy. So why is it that only trans people seem to have such a hard time getting people to call them what they want to be called? It doesn't make any, we don't do this to anybody else.
It's integral to their personality.
Need to stop violence against the LGBT community. They're dying. They're like, oh, you're being an alarmist. All right. Yeah, we're going to really need y'all to take your vaccines. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Oh, stop being such an alarmist.
I was trying to find the Trayvon.
The father and the son duo who murdered him thought he...
Here we go.
Have had a raw deal in life, but they don't go out and kill and rob and do all these things. And so at some point, personal responsibility has to fit in here.
Mm-hmm.
So
the deck is stacked, but you're not simply
And again, is this what black people argue? Do black people run around arguing that criminals shouldn't be held responsible for their crimes and the character of someone doesn't matter? And again, he wants to shift this all. This is no longer about Robert Price. This is now an indictment of the left. It's indictment of wokeism and the religion of sympathy and railing against.
I agree. And what makes it more pathetic is you did not hold their feet to the or his feet to the fire. You had the opportunity. You had the chance. After all this gas.
Against cancel culture. None of this is about Robert Price's problematic, bigoted language. And this really suggests...
Agreed. So why did you not put his feet to the goddamn fire? I agree. This was never, this Pine Creek interview, even though there was all this disgusting ass bullshit talked about, brought up, discussed, that had nothing to do with his or Doug's bigoted fucking views. But you had all that gas, bro. You had all that gas. And you patty caked him. You fucking patty caked him.
Just that he really, really doesn't get it. That he really, really, really doesn't get it.
The logical outcome of something. You're not just a function of a machine. And look at the people with the same sort of background who resisted those temptations and went on to do great things. But what happens to them? They get denounced by race hustlers as acting white, which implies that success is impossible, despite the fact that we have a black...
All right, y'all, let's get to this. Let's see. No, go ahead, give me that.
Had a black president.
Yep, there it is.
Vice president.
Yeah, we had a black president. Now we have a black vice president. Doug has a dark-skinned wife. Robert Price got a blowjob from a black girl back in the day. Of course, racism is over. I don't even understand. What are we here for? Should I end the stream? Should we end the stream? Fuck it. We had a black president, y'all. I'm sorry. I was sadly mistaken. We had a black president. Doug married a dark-skinned lady. I apologize, y'all. Racism is over. My bad. See you later.
Zach? Why she wanna leave me alone? Saying all I do is wrong. No rights when they been left turns. Playing that she gotta let it burn. Saying that the hell's not a home. Sunshine cause you heard it all before. Sometimes she don't wanna be alone. Most times she don't want me gone. She don't know I try my all. She don't know I sprung in the sun, but I'm going in the west.
I mean, just fucking ridiculous. Just absurd. All right, let's read this commentary here. I actually think this is a really good way to think about this. All right, here we go. This was written in 2020. On August 9th, 2014, an unarmed young black man who recently graduated from Normandy High School was executed. Big Mike. However, the world knows him as Michael Brown. Days and weeks after the death of Michael Brown at the hands of Officer Darren Wilson, the media portrayed Brown as a menace, a danger, a thug. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee expressed that Big Mike, quote, could have avoided that if he'd have behaved like something other than a thug. He wasn't the only one who shared this sentiment. Many political officials and news correspondents proclaimed that Big Mike felt his demise because of his thuggery, that Trayvon Martin was hunted down at the age of 17 by a wannabe cop because of his thug-like attire. That is a hoodie. How crazy is that? Wannabe cop, just like fucking, what's his face? Kyle Rittenhouse. That Jordan Davis was slain at the age of 17 because of his loud, quote, thug music. That people who are tired of their voices being neglected and their bodies treated as shooting range targets are thugs because they choose to use the only language the country understands. Thug became synonymous with black, black synonymous with threat, so thug became synonymous with me. There are different definitions and interpretations of what a thug is. Many believe that a thug to be a gangster, a hoodlum, a violent.
Now, I want to go on record in saying that everything that Jay is saying in this stream, like 48 hours ago, like 100% in his corner, 100% in his corner. Like, yes, this is why Bobby Price. This is why, in the context you're using the word thug, why it is a racial slur. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, it is what it is. An issue now that I have is why give all this gas? Why give all this gas 48 hours before? But then when you go head to head, you go nose to nose with the racist, with the bigot, Bobby Price. You lay the fuck down. And anybody that knows me, it's not about beating chest and who who can yell the loudest, or who flexes the hardest, or it's about being consistent. And we're lacking consistency here, fellas.
Violent person engaged in criminal activity. This individual's uniform is believed to consist of sagged pants, a dark hoodie, and black skin. Thugs are thought to cause trouble as if trouble is a distant family member whose genes were inherited. A thug's life seems to be engulfed in the desire to cause harm and the flex cold-heartedness. Tupac would disagree with this.
Really, and that's actually what I'm covering. I just skipped over here because I find I was digging Jay's content until the Gnostic Informant stream, which I'm going to get back to here in a minute. Because I have very little respect for people that give all the gas. They give all the gas until they go face to face with the person they're giving all the gas to, and then they fold. They fold, and that's what the fuck happened.
Tupac Shakur believed the thug's life was filled with hatred that was bottle-fed to them as infants, and what those little ones grow up to be was what society molded them to be. Here it is. The hatred you give little infants fucks everyone. Thug life. Hear that? The hatred you give little infants fucks everyone. Thug life.
Okay, so there, I gave two clips. That was about 48 hours ago from Jay. Just so you get, and there's other points where he, way more animated, way more boisterous, so to speak, but there was all that gas, and we're 44 minutes into Gnostic Informant's video here, and yeah, we're not getting that gas, man. And Neil, I'm overall, other than my memory is terrible, but I think Cristi, Cristi is her name. And I apologize if my memory is failing me, but she's the only one that's being consistent and pushing back and asking the difficult questions, asking the Cristi, thank you. Yes, Cristi was the only one that was asking any of the difficult questions.
The other thing I wanted to quickly mention is I've also been convinced recently that maybe we should try to normalize this. Because if we only talk about pronoun preferences or what to call people when a trans person is around, when a queer person is around, when a non-binary person is around, then they also feel singled out because all of a sudden everyone does something different when they're here that they would not do if they were not here. So a large part of this conversation needs to be those of us that
Isn't it ironic?
don't identify as that, picking up the ball and saying, hey, look, I'm going to help normalize this, even amongst cis het people where we have no reason to suspect anybody that's not that is even in the room, because it makes it that much easier for them to be in the room. And thanks for hearing me out.
Well, I just want to underline, I have no problem with referring to any individual according to their preference, whether their name or pronouns. It's downright boorish.
But and see, Neil and Jay, because Cristi's already asked all the difficult questions that she needs to ask. She's so to speak, fulfilled her obligation of being on this panel. This motherfucker just lied to your face, because just earlier in this goddamn stream, he said, I'm not going to play to changing my language or changing my vocabulary. Like, he just bold-faced ass lied to you, and neither of you held him accountable. Neither of you. Neither of you put his feet to the fire.
The height of inconsiderate rudeness to say, well, I don't care what you want to be called, I'm calling you this. That I've never accepted.
And yes, right, he did use grammar as well, grammar and vocabulary. Yeah.
That's just awful. So I've never advocated that kind of nonsense.
Okay.
Oh, Mark, you jumped into a mess.
Yeah, I think it was a misunderstanding, because I think when we heard you say you would refuse that, I think maybe you were talking about the bigger grammatical thing you cleared up earlier, but I think that's what people may have heard, and that's
bet you're
why
right.
it's a problem.
Yeah.
That's
what a lot of people heard, and the reason why a lot of people hear that is because that specific rhetoric that you picked up there, and that you said you've been like hearing from people like Jordan Peterson, is specifically a rhetoric that's also used by people who adamantly refuse to use our pronouns, no matter what we ask of them. And so, because it's been picked up when that rhetoric is picked up by people like that and is used by, popularized, and oftentimes invented by people like that, and then it's filtered down, and then you use it, it becomes shorthand for people like me, because people like me, people who are trans and who unfortunately have to deal with a lot of Jordan Petersons around us, like it's become essentially a defense mechanism.
Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
When we hear that rhetoric, we're like, oh, time to get away.
Yeah, that sums up what I'd begun to think was happening with these the offenses taken and given.
Yeah. It becomes, because when when things like that are said, and when they've been especially used in political climates like ours right now that have targeted people like me in various states, at some point we're just we're going to be automatically on the defense when things like that are said, because, well, we don't have a reason not to be. And so when you say things like that, it like it becomes it's part of the general trend we see. Like like for instance, I went to a restaurant not too long ago.
And I also want to point out that I don't have the time right now to go through and find it, but on the stream I was shown from Jay, it was a 48 hours note now. He's the same dude that was talking about if this motherfucker holds these crazy ass, like hateful, bigoted beliefs and ideas about people, I therefore have to question his scholarship. I therefore have to question his scholarship. And for anyone that knows, has friends, family, or you yourself have worked very, very hard to earn and obtain said degree or degrees, that those things are highly valued, right? So he said that 48 hours ago, but then gets on here and fizzles.
And the first thing that I heard someone tell me when because I was dressed in women's clothing and everything, the first thing they did was throw a slur at me.
That's amazing to me.
That's just my daily lived experience.
Yeah.
As a trans person.
And
it's like that for just so many people. So when you
just waiting for YouTube. That's all.
repeat rhetoric like this, it automatically gives that impression, and trans people are just automatically going to be on a defensive about that, because otherwise, like they run a very potential risk, because when other people use that rhetoric, they do mean malicious things by it.
Well, you pointed out some very helpful distinctions. I appreciate that.
Yeah, if I could just jump in and just say, hopefully I'm seeing this. I'm glad to see, Dr. Bob, you're trying. It seems like you're being receptive to some things that you might not have understood before.
Neil. Does this guy have something over your head? Does this dude know something about you that you don't want other people to know? Like, why are you throwing him all these lifesavers, all these life jackets? I don't understand, bro. Like, I'm literally disappointed, shocked, and appalled all at the same goddamn time, and I didn't even realize I could feel those many things at once. Like, this is nuts, bro.
So I'm happy to see that. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, Bob, I also just wanted to mention your influence, right? And why I think that's maybe worked for and against you. So one, I always say we're fortunate, like I think people are enjoying this conversation. We're lucky to sit down with people who we have.
Is this real life? Is this real life?
Different ideas then and actually bring them to light, right? But I think because you're a counter-apologist and an mythicist and sort of a skeptical scholar, right?
And I also want to add, Jay, like 3 streams ago, you said, and I quote, anyone that's a friend of fuckface Doug is not a friend of mine. And I quote, anyone that's a friend of fuckface Doug's is no longer a friend of mine, is not a friend of mine, yada, yada, yada. You're sure being nice to this guy.
A lot of times, the expectation is,
what the fuck, YouTube?
Dr. Price opposes fundamentalist religion and it's detrimental society on people and what's going on, right? And unfortunately, because the politics and the religion, especially in our cultures, are so tied together, people tend to come out, right, when we're having these conversations.
What are we doing?
Tend to get in, they tend to sway from politics to religion even at times. And so one of the things I think people have realized, and we're all realizing this in real time, is that because there's so much bigotry that it feels baked into religion, it feels like the counter-apologetics community is a place where people are recovering.
Uno momento. I'm going to restart or refresh.
If you have a side gig and need to file your taxes, visit freetaxusa.com. With us.
Sure don't.
And then
Come on, YouTubes. You can do it.
from religion. It's almost like a safe space to find community again and not just deconstruct, but reconstruct, right? Start to say, okay, I've left that ideas alone. Maybe I'm not part of the religious communities I used to be a part of, but I can't just wander around alone forever, right? And so now people are finding like-minded people on the internet and building community through YouTube and other social media platforms. And so one of the things I noticed is that after you had that conversation with Doug, I think part of the hurt that the community is feeling is it wasn't just you had an uncomfortable conversation with Doug. It was after that, all of a sudden, everybody was having these conversations. And we were getting all sorts of comments on YouTube videos and on other channels where it's almost like, like Cristi was saying, it normalized it and it was coming out of the woodworks. And so we were dealing with lots of people who may not have had a genuine misunderstanding, but a lot of times just seemed to, I remember like little things like people, I had dealing with the comment on the follow-up to that stream where somebody was asking, why is it not okay for white people to say the N-word if all the rappers can say it? I mean, these sort of like meme-ified tropes that we shouldn't have to deal with. And so I do think there's an extent to which, because people like you, because people like Doug are popular, when you start saying some of these things, even if you don't intend to hurt people, people in our community who have more nefarious intentions see that as a license to sort of become more active in our community. And so now this community where we feel like we're reconstructing our lives.
Now you're doing the same goddamn... Babe, help me. Jay, don't talk about it, be about it. Don't talk about it, be about it. You're going to bring all that gas, bro. You're going to bring all that gas. If you're going to bring all that gas, when you got the motherfucker that you were talking shit about and you were giving all that gas to, you have him sitting in front of you. And it's, maybe you didn't mean those bad things you said. Maybe you didn't mean those awful things you said. Then don't bring the gas, bro. Don't bring the gas.
Lives away from the bigotry of religion has bigotry invited into it, and the sort of pass that people are giving themselves is that it's coming from popular content creators like you or Doug. And I'm just acknowledging that that's not fair to you, but at the same time, it's as you know, it's the consequence of having a pulpit in the community, right? And I just want to make you aware that that's also probably a lot of what people are responding.
I agree. Brilliant. Cristi the entire time was the only one that asked the difficult questions, the pointed questions, the one that put fucking bigoted, hateful, racist, fucking ass Bobby's feet to the fire. Was the only one. Was the only one. And now I know why they dipped.
And so
well, that's a revelation to me. I wouldn't have thought anybody would take me as legitimation for something like that, or any political or social view.
Sure.
Wow. Yeah, well, I can actually tell you that they definitely would, and very specifically because of the place that you hold, especially in certain debates, especially like mythicism. Like, this is just from my research, because I do a whole lot of research still on mythicism, but you're one of the best cited figures actually on mythicist positions. Like, your name is almost synonymous with it. So
big trouble
when you're that well known, your name automatically commands something with its platform. Your name actually can bring a legitimizing atmosphere.
I've heard more from bigoted Bobby. Oh no, that's my nickname. I'm great at nicknames. Bigot Bobby. I've heard more from Bigot Bobby than any apologies.
Here, and that's why specifically why so many people like having you on their channels. Not only do you give really interesting talks, but you also give legitimation by your presence, and that's why it's very critical about why we're very critical about platforms, especially in this coming age where in the age of like YouTube and stuff, where it's very easy to popularize things very quickly. There becomes a lot of responsibility with that platform, especially with self-consciousness of how platforms are used. I myself have been on the wrong side of this as well. When I first started on YouTube, I was still in the far right. So there are some really sketchy things of me of me seeing really bad things out there. It's not hard to find them. And
you know what? This is a great point. And I agree, because I watched the back and forth. Fitton, first of all, thanks for hanging up. Jay was more mean to Nitty for no reason. That just further proves my point. I appreciate you bringing that up, because I agree. Jay went savage on Nitty. Went savage, and I will also raise my hand and say I 100% held Nitty's feet to the fire, and as soon as he and I had an understanding, I was the first one and just within the last couple of days even checked back in with him to make sure he was good, and told him I still appreciate you. Just because we disagreed doesn't mean we can't find common ground again. And be cool. I still love you. I still appreciate you, right? I don't know if Jay's done that, but Jay shit all over him. But then Jay's got all this gas. For Bobby's ass. But then as soon as it's time for put up or shut up, he shuts the fuck up and plays nice.
It's unfortunately just part and parcel with having platforms, is that we have to is being conscious about the rhetoric and the language that's passed down to us and filtered to us, because when we then have that platform and then we repeat things that, like Jordan Peterson say, we end up intentionally or not legitimizing those things, and you can legitimize them in the far more malicious way than what you ever intended. I've never for an instance thought you were a malicious person in any of this, and I've said this to several others, like Derek Lambert and several others, malicious. But people who watch you who are. And there are people who
What's the very last thing you said?
there are people who watch you that are, and there are people, unfortunately. And so there are things, unfortunately, because you have a platform, that when they're said, they become legitimation. And then they can be utilized that way. And that's what makes a lot of, it is really unfair to creators like all of us that this is the case, but it then makes us have to be more self-conscious about what we say, because then those things can become very dangerous. Like even innocuous things. It's actually I'm going to be publishing.
Just because I know Mark and Afro Atheist trying to catch up here. So this Robert Price motherfucker, I call him now bigot Bobby. No, Bobby Bigot. I think that's better. Bobby Bigot. No, Bigot Bobby. Said some really fucked up shit within the last year. Very racist, very homophobic, very transphobic, and essentially found himself on the raw end of all the deals, rightfully so. And keeps doing the humps and the ahs and the umps and the ahs. Up until tonight, just being point blank, up until tonight, I had a high level of respect for Neil, Gnostic Informant, and his platform. After watching this stream, I've lost, I would say, 80% of that. Just keeping it real. And I just recently started watching Jay's channel, Jay's content, and I was feeling it first because he was bringing all the gas, like to this bullshit, right? The bigotry, the hypocrisy, the inconsistencies, bringing all the smoke. But then as soon as they go head to head with the people that they're throwing all the gas at, they don't want to light the match. For whatever reason, I don't fucking know. So I'm doing this stream, number one, because it pisses me the fuck off that anyone's just going to give Bigot Bobby a free pass. Because he's played his cards, and even in this interview, he played his cards, and they still placate to it. They still allow this motherfucker to be the bigot and not hold him accountable for the fucking shit that he said and the damage that he's done. And I'm also done where it's I'm not even going to go there. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to play that card. Yeah, so that's where we're at.
On this eventually, but even innocuous things like mythicism have had legitimation passed with like Nazis.
Well, I wasn't aware. I knew the Soviet Union made mythicism part of their official ideology. I didn't know Adolf and his buddies did.
Adolf wasn't, but I actually have the pamphlets. I've actually read the originals from the 1930s and 40s. It became part of an anti-Semitic legitimation effort, and it's also still used to this day in white supremacist movements. And that's what makes
those nuts say that.
And Rick, I get what you're saying. And Verlian, well, let me pull the comment, and I'll address this because I'm about to jump off the 7th floor of my apartment at this point. I'm kidding. As it happens all too often in atheist YouTube circles, too many times I've seen coddling when trying to correct a fellow's shitty views. Well. what had happened was, who doesn't give a fuck? Raise your hand. I don't give a fuck about my popularity, or I'm not saying you were suggesting that really, brilliant, but I don't give a fuck about my popularity, the channel's popularity. It's about being consistent. Are we who we say we are? Are we who the fuck we say we are? That's what matters to me. And sadly, let me create a clear divide here. Cristi killed it. Fucking killed the game tonight. Killed the fucking game. Neil, Jay, disappointing as fuck, man. Disappointing as fuck.
Jesus existed, but he wasn't a Jew. That's what I'm familiar
a lot
with.
of them did, but not all of them, especially not in the Volkish movements. But anyways, moving on from that, though, this is what makes platforms and self-consciousness of them really important, because otherwise, intentionally or not, our work becomes fuel for people that misuse it. And that's why I always make it very important to make sure my work can't be used that way, to make it explicit in my work how I disagree with those positions, how I disagree with misconstruals of it that way, because there are things that I write about that can be unfortunately construed that way if I didn't do that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's important to, if you're an ally, be explicit about it, because it's too easy for people to misconstrue what you say. And the other thing is, I think because of your position as a critical scholar, I think people expect a certain degree of skepticism and critical thinking from you about everything. And so while you may say, I'm a scholar of, theology or biblical studies, people still expect you to be academic, in a sense, in your opinions on other topics. Now, that may not be fair, right? I probably got very uninformed opinions about football and baseball, and just because I have a PhD in biology doesn't mean you should listen to what I say about baseball or assume that I put the same amount of research into it, right? But I do think for a lot of us that felt like a lot of your talking points were parroting, apologists or far right-wing media platforms like Fox News and Tucker Carlson. I think that was a problem because, right, Fox News gets on and has been sued and basically said in court under oath, hey, what we're doing is entertainment. It isn't serious news. We don't expect people to take our opinion pieces seriously. But then we have people who parrot those opinions as though they're authoritative. And then we're going, wait a second, if this guy isn't looking more seriously into these very important claims, even though they're outside of their field, people start to question, what are they really doing on their scholarship? Are they really being as critical in their work as they should be if it seems to be this easy to get misinformation past them? And so that may be unfair, but I certainly think that that's what's happening here.
Well, I have found, it's funny you should mention that, and very apt, because when people are aware of at least what they think my political opinions are, and even when they're right, they begin, I've had a number of times people have taken a condescending attitude toward me as if they think I'm some kind of idiot savant, that I may know my stuff with the Bible, but obviously I'm a Neanderthal.
No, we know you're anti-BLM. You're anti-trans. And you have zero interest in actually learning about other people. You just want to form your opinions, and you admitted on Pine Creek's interview that you buy into the conspiracies that the election was rigged. You said that, Bob. You said that. I expected this from Bob. And I'm about to wrap up because Jenna's getting ready to do work. Real work. I expected this from Bob. I'm not disappointed by Bob. Bob lived up to his expectations. He's a bigoted, hateful. It's similar to what my grandpa used to say about overly religious people. They're so heavenly minded, they're of no earthly good. Bob is so educated that he's no earthly good. Like he's so wrapped up in his own brain. He's no good to us. What I'm most disappointed, and yes, really quickly, I'll get to that timestamp. What I'm most disappointed in is, number one, Neil. Yeah, this was disappointing, bro. This was disappointing. This felt like you were just jerking him off the whole time. I don't know why, but that's sure how the fuck it comes off. And Jay, we've never spoke. Like I was hip with your shit, dude. Your content, your channel. But after this, all the gas you gave this motherfucker, and you come in here just, oh, I'm here to be friends. I'm just here to be a friend. Fuck out of here, bro.
For Cristi. Cristi's no joke either. Cristi's got 15 peer reviewed published papers, and Cristi's on her way to get a PhD. So that's on the way. She's already postgraduate right now. So
yeah, that guy is brilliant.
A lot more degrees than people on screen tonight, so that's pretty cool.
Thank you for that super chat, Natalia Emerson. Sorry, anyways, please be mindful going forward, Dr. Bob. Thanks.
Thank you for the encouragement.
Yes, Natalia. That's the main point here. Yep, 100% agreement.
Thank you for that.
Appreciate you.
There's a couple more. I'm scrolling down through all these comments. Damn, there's a lot of comments. There we go. Does Dr. Bob read on CRT?
I was trying to listen and watch, but I'm ADHD.
And sociology.
Why is this shit? A researcher in the ecology, evolution, and biology department at
Come on, YouTube.
The University of Minnesota. Go Golfers.
And to answer for Cristi's no joke either. Cristi's got 15 peer-reviewed published papers, and Cristi's on her way to get a PhD. So that's on the way. She's already postgraduate right now. So
yeah, that guy is brilliant.
A lot more degrees than people on screen tonight, so that's pretty cool.
Thank you for that super chat, Natalia Emerson. Sorry, anyways.
You know what? I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Yeah, I don't even know what to say at this point. Yeah, I don't even know what to say at this point. This is sad. This is sad. This is disappointing. And as pissed off as I am right now, I'm more disappointed. I'm more let down than anything. I guess I will. I guess I'll wrap it up with saying this. I am an individual where well, first of all, I don't hold a doctorate. I don't even have a fucking degree. I'm a high school dropout. I rely on guts, instincts, hard work, communication, getting to know people, loving people. I literally my entire life depends on me hanging my hat on that. And no, fuck it. I'm done having this standard in this hood, this community that's been set for me being the least educated than most, that I should act or behave or communicate or debate or have conversations in a certain manner. Meanwhile, all of you other dickheads just get to either treat people like shit or just passively allow this shit and get away with it. Why? Because you're educated. Because you got a goddamn degree. Well, guess what we learned tonight? Jay has a degree and he's a bitch. That's what we learned. Neil interviews, hangs out with I'm not going to name names because he has no part of it, but his friend in the channel and all the scholars and philosophers and historians and archaeologists, like all that. But he proved tonight that education doesn't matter when it comes to people. So you know what? Fuck all your degrees. Fuck all of that. if you can't stand up to the bigoted, fucking asshole, racist, homophobic, transphobic motherfuckers, I don't give a fuck about your degree. I don't give a fuck about who you know or who you don't know. And I'm done being quiet about it, if you can't tell. I'm done being quiet about it. I'm done. I'm done being silent. I've been silent long enough. I've played the game. I'm done being quiet. I'm done being silent on it. And if I'm going to be held to a certain standard, God damn it, I'm about consistency. We're all going to be held to the same goddamn standard. What was the intro track on Devil's Night? What was that? You did it. You did it. You woke the sleeping monster. Now you got to deal with it.
All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Do you understand? You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers.
I am the prodigy, probably. An oddity, commodity to fuck up your psychology. I honestly, possibly, constantly body these fucking wannabes. I am the novelty, fulfillment of the prophecy. I am apostasy's atrocity, demonstrably an anomaly. Just check the verbosity of my anthology. What you want, I do this shit unconsciously. I told you after Devil's Night, I'm coming down swinging, hit them with that boom, and keep their heads ringing. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom, I told you what I do. But you sleep? I told you what I do. What if I just switch the flow? Let the pieces fall, call it domino. I kill in force. Idaho, you the hoe. I know you know how to ride this boat. Rodeo. Like fuck with you a little, it'll ripple, cripple. But I give you this pickle. What am I trying to say? If A can beat me, then we can see it. And after that, yeah, you can get the D. Boom. I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom. I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom. I told you what I do. I told you what I do. Boom. I told you what I do. But you sleep? I told you what I do.
Say good night to the bad guy. Come on. The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like this again. Let me